October, the perfect time for pumpkin spice, falling leaves, and scary games. What kind of scary games, you ask? Well, how about a horrific experience inspired by 1930s cartoons about two anthropomorphic cups that lose their souls in a bed at the Devil's Casino? Wait, seriously? Is that actually the plot of this game? Alright, guess we're rolling with it. Welcome back to the lab, friends. Today, we're talking Cuphead. So if you're into video gaming and or follow gamers on Twitter, you've probably already heard about Cuphead. This traditionally animated run-and-gun experience has been the bane of gamer sanity for an entire weekend now, and may have the staying power to drive several more gamers crazy for generations to come. The reason for this staying power? The look, the sound, the beautifully animated death battles. The game has such a unique aesthetic that even if you're not into hardcore boss battles, you can watch someone play this game all day. From the rubber hose animation of early Disney cartoons to the soundtrack that has the sweet sounds of 40s jazz to keep the play upbeat and the characters bouncing to the music, Cuphead captures the timelessness of old cartoons in an interesting, interactive experience. Now, let's take a moment to appreciate King Dice's theme, shall we?
Mr. King Dice, I'm the gamest in the land. I never play nice, I'm the devil's right-hand man.
As I mentioned in the intro, Cuphead is the story of two brothers, the eponymous Cuphead and his bro Mugman, who wander away from their not-so-watchful guardian and end up at the Devil's Casino. And yes, I do literally mean the Devil's Casino. It's not even subtle. It's literally located in hell. God knows how they got there. Or maybe he doesn't, because, you know, it's hell. Anyway, Cuphead decides to roll the dice and is on quite the hot streak, no pun intended, when approached by the devil. Again, literally the devil. Not subtle at all. The devil offers our heroes the classic bargain. One last roll of the dice, you win, you get all the loot in the casino, you lose, and your souls are up for grabs. Cuphead, blinded by riches and blatantly ignoring his brother, makes the roll with what are obviously loaded dice because, you know, the devil, and Cuphead and Mugman are left to plead for their souls. In a rare show of generosity, they're offered an amendment to the deal: collect the souls of the devil's other debtors and they're off scot-free. This throws our heroes into a new kind of hell: multi-stage boss battles. Okay, enough lollygagging around, let's actually talk about gameplay. So, the game breaks down into two main sections: boss fights and run-and-gun platforming. Each world in the game, with the exception of the finale stage of course, features 5 boss fights, 2 platforming sections, and a special minigame which, spoilers, gives you super sweet supers whenever you beat it. Each of the boss fights features multiple stages of grueling battle, which begs the question of the gaming community: is this the Dark Souls of 2D platforming? My response? No. Stop it. We are not going there. Aside from the fact that 3D arena fighting and 2D platforming make for two very different experiences, Cuphead puts emphasis on the time-honored boss battle technique, pattern memorization. Once you understand the patterns of a boss, recognizing those audio and visual cues leading into their attacks, the bosses become much more manageable. Don't get me wrong, you'll still find plenty of bosses that will frustrate the living crap out of you, but as long as you're patient and willing to put in the time, you can and will overcome. As for the platforming sections, I was a little concerned early on, particularly because these were actually the reason for the long delay in the game's release. After getting feedback at E3 2015 from gamers disappointed by the lack of platforming, the devs at Studio MDHR went back to the drawing board, quite literally, to create these new levels focused on running and gunning. I was concerned because the first couple levels felt like relatively simple platforming with just a horde of enemies thrown in, which, given my already mounting frustration at the first handful of boss fights, made me feel pretty ambivalent about the run and gun sections. From the second world on, however, these sections gain their own interesting character, helping to build the story of the world, introducing their own mechanics, like the gravity switching of the funhouse, and letting players hone their skills on a bevy of mini-bosses. Also, wasn't about to give up on those coins. I need them upgrades, yo. Speaking of upgrades, there are several to get in the game. From different types of guns with different abilities to charms that add life or power up the dash and parry mechanics, these upgrades, bought with those coins from the platforming bits, become an essential tool in the later stages. Also, a quick note on the Mausoleum levels, those special minigames for special moves I mentioned. They are an amazing addition to the game because they force players to understand and use the parry mechanic, which, while for most battles is completely unnecessary, does help you build up your super meter much faster and can actually make the boss battles easier by eliminating those annoying frickin' minions. There's one more thing I wanted to address before wrapping things up, which is the rumor going around that completing Cuphead solo is suicide. As of this moment, I've completed up through King Dice on solo and can tell you it is totally possible. That being said, given the story revolves around Cuphead and his brother Mugman, and that the tutorial literally teaches you how to revive your partner, play it with a friend. It's beautiful, it's fun, and if you don't want to rip your own hair out, play it with a friend. Or stream it. Just let someone enjoy the pain you're going through. So let's wrap things up by pulling out the Janky's Lab scale, so this series at least has the illusion of consistency, even though I didn't do experimental bias this time, but I got this game on my own dime, so it's okay. Anyway, you may remember we have 5 ranks on this scale: smashing success, promising results, more trials needed, revisions required, and acid kid. This game, with its 30s aesthetic and tough but rewarding challenges, is, in my humble opinion, a smashing success. Final thoughts? This game is great, play with friends so you don't hate yourself, and groove to them sweet, sweet tunes. Now, you go ahead and enjoy King Dice's theme, and until the next time, this is Janky Shenanigans, signing out.
I can't let you pass, 'cause you ain't done everything. Bring me those contracts, come on, bring them to the king. If you haven't finished your task, haven't worked assiduously, no, I cannot let you pass. Don't you mess with me.